We'll give you 4 more if you want them.
Okay,
Want 'em?
we'll call to order our February 3rd, 2020 Management Services meeting. You got the roll, you can take the roll.
Okay. Barons,
Here.
Alt,
Here.
DeCat, Bowers,
Here.
Zumwalt, Johnson. Yes.
Okay. You have the agenda in front of you. So motion to approve. John?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Are there any public comments? Seeing none, we will go on to the fertilizer bids and hopefully get it right this time. Okay. We got United Prairie. That's high rate, high fertilizer rate. Total of $31,381.54. United Prairie with their, I guess you'd call it the maintenance rate. $19,400
Wow.
Yes.
Those, you should have my original bids from the first time. Those are the ones that have got the prevailing wage they're in. Amanda was, I told Amanda to hang on to my first original bids.
Yeah, she was supposed to clear that with you and make sure that we got the right.
I told her that
These are the wrong ones.
these are the wrong ones. If you need the numbers for the first ones, I can get those to you.
Okay, yes, because Amanda is not here this morning.
So the low rate would be 17,414.80.
Okay.
And then the high rate would be 28,394
Even?
even.
Thank you. And thank you for being patient with us.
All right.
This one is Tri-Central Alaska. Theirs is, high rate is what they're quoting. $32,159. And if you want, I guess you can pass it around if you want to see them, but. This one is Donovan Farmer Co-op.
Who's the second?
Tri-Central. Okay. They have a bid of 29,339. Okay, they've got it in tons versus pounds. So, So yeah, they got it at 23.8 tons of phosphate. So I don't know which one, does that correspond to the high or the low?
On this one.
Well, they have, instead of putting it in pounds, which everybody else did, they put it in tons.
Okay,
So they got 23.8 tons of phosphate. So what's that, 40?
divided by 2,000,
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so that's gonna be, was that the high rate or the low rate?
32,159.
No, pounds of phosphate.
It'd be the high rate.
It's the high rate, okay. So. And they have a field by field breakdown, but I mean, we're just, at this point, looking at
That's
the
the
total
low
cost.
rate. Same bid, but that's the low rate. I think you must have that high rate. You want to do that? I know we got the numbers.
That one says here it still has the.
Well, I wrote the other on the bottom of it, below it, so,
Because these were wrong.
Yeah.
yeah, so the handwritten one is what his actual bid should be, which Amanda should have that in her file. It's just a matter of, she's not here, gave us the wrong one. Luckily, we went to yours first, so that nobody can say, oh, he just changed it.
There was just one on for Don.
Yes,
Was it, and it was a high rate? Oh,
I think all of them gave high rate, and then United Prairie gave the low rate also.
Well, which one do we actually need?
Low rate.
Thank you.
They're pretty competitive.
Now, you say low rate because you don't feel the ground will build any faster than that, right?
Correct. With the sandier soil types out here, if you put too much potash out there, it just washes down through the soil. So you're better off just kind of fertilizing every year out there, just to maintain.
So do we not even, should we not even have a high rate thing on there, or?
Right, there shouldn't be, but when they send out the recs, there's two sets of recs, and it's not real clear. So there's a high rate and a low rate, well, vice versa, but it's not real clear on what to do. So that's why on all the bids that I send out, have got two rates on there, but really should be looking at the low rate.
So we really need to kind of revamp that when we send these out.
Well,
The way the letter is sent out, I mean, you can state that in the letter to designate. It'd be the easiest way to go about doing that.
and we're gonna see, the contract is up this year, so it'll be a new soil test, and that soil test company sent it out that way versus in the past, some have just sent out one recommendation. So we'll have to see how it comes back and then adjust accordingly. Because if they only give us one recommendation, then.
Do we send a copy of that when we send the bids out? What their recommendations
Yeah,
are?
that's what
You
you
can,
get.
you can request that. I've got all the stuff from Amanda. I mean, but like I said,
But it
I've got
didn't
it,
just
I've
come-
got it all there, but it's, you know,
Yeah, that map that he had was from the soil test company.
But did we send that out to everybody automatically is what my question is.
It was in the bid package.
if you request it, yep.
Okay, but it didn't, that's what I'm saying. It didn't just go out.
It wasn't in the bid packet?
No,
Okay.
You had to
I think
ask.
the letter said contact Amanda for everything, so.
Okay,
So maybe we should just send all that out from now on, so that everybody's getting the same kettle.
yeah, when they come and pick up the packet, it should all be in the packet.
This, I want to get this question from a different angle. When we put it out for bids next summer, it's going to be for 3 year,
The farm, that's what we've done in the past, yeah.
right? And but this time it was only on 2 because of the problem we had before.
Right, it was because the 3-year contract, the person defaulted
Backed out.
after the first year.
So my thoughts here is, I think it's fair to the renter, we go to, well, he pays for it through us anyway, doesn't he? He pays for fertilizer. Why would you wanna pay more than just maintenance when you got the last year on your lease? What do you say about that, John?
That sounds fair. I had one question, is this, I didn't see is this VRT or a flat spread?
It's VRT.
Yeah, we went to that several years ago. Which explain to everybody what that is, John.
Oh, VRT stands for variable rate technology, and it just, you know, as the spreader goes through the field, it will actually start and stop according to the soil types and the needs of what that area needs, you know, so, if there's an area that's, high in potash, it shuts off, and vice versa.
It's got all the little computer inside
Yeah,
Amazing.
That's pretty cool.
and then the flat spread is just, 150 pounds over the whole field.
Right. No guesswork, you're just putting the same thing everywhere.
Right.
Well, neither's guesswork.
No guess.
We guess what you're coming up with next, though, but
I know, right?
Okay, so we have essentially 4 bids, 3 for high and 1 for low. Any questions on the bids? Or is there a motion to accept the bid?
A motion that we accept the United Prairie low rate, $17,414.80.
Okay?
I'll second it.
it's a maintenance rate, not a low rate.
Sounds better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Many pardons.
Is there any further discussion on it? If not, we'll take a vote.
Who seconded?
John?
Barron,
Abstain.
Alt,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
And for those wondering, the reason I'm abstaining is because a relative is on one of the board of directors, so. All right. That will be approved finally at the board, so
Right.
they could change,
Yeah.
but I doubt that
just
they
let me
will
know.
on this, so. Yeah, and then you'll spread it as soon as it's fit in the
Whatever else
spring.
fit in the spring. So.
All right,
All
thanks.
right, thank you.
Okay.
United Prairie.
Yeah, but where they at? You do it.
Crescent City.
They're out of Crescent.
Okay, on farm management issues, a policy and procedure, Bob Yergler brought up that he thought we should discuss the possibility of the tenant being responsible for paying the taxes.
For what?
For the tenant being responsible for paying the taxes,
Oh,
property taxes, he said that's what the federal government does. I don't know that it's gonna be beneficial, because what's gonna happen is the bids will come in lower, so it's gonna be a wash, and and the reason we pay that is the same reason we pay the fertilizer and then pass on the cost, is because we wanna make sure it's paid. But he thought it was something that should at least be discussed, so
What are the taxes? Do you know what that is?
property tax, I do not know right offhand.
It's in the neighborhood of 8,000.
I kinda think we should pay the taxes.
Well, landlords are usually responsible for paying the taxes.
Right. Usually you have it.
Farm properties usually,
Yeah.
all through the Midwest here, or owners pay their taxes. Sure, they figure out how much they are and make sure that their cash rent is part of the.
I told my tenants they
have to pay the tax, tell me I was nuts.
Well, you should be including the cost of the taxes in your rent though.
Into your
Right.
rent,
Yeah.
right?
And
Yeah.
we have historically gotten very good rent. So, but it was brought up, we want bring the possibility. If you guys say no, then that's fine.
It's something to think about. You know, we had a while before they were going out for bids, but he brought it up so that we'd have some time to think about it.
Isn't there something though that, like, if you pay the taxes on a property after X amount of time,
Well, that would be,
still a fine line though.
well, if it's in the lease that they pay the taxes, because yeah, technically, if you mowed 3 foot of your neighbor's lawn for so many years, you could claim that. But if you have an agreement for him to mow your whole lawn, he doesn't get your whole lawn.
Right.
You can also arrange it to where that we pay the taxes, but they reimburse us for it like we do with the fertilizer.
But I think that's, seems
There's,
to be kinda, yeah.
there's certain, high value properties where it's higher than the income cash rent from farming it in some suburban areas. So if you told a tenant to farm it, you wouldn't pay the taxes. You'd never pay any rent, you wouldn't get anything out of it. They know it's gonna be a loss, they're owning it for possible big dollars later down the road. So I don't know of any other group that go that way.
Yeah, I mean, the federal government, he said, does it, but the federal government does a lot of things that, you know, nobody else does or really would want to do. All right, well, we brought it up. Doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of support for it, so we can move on to maintenance supervisor report.
Just made a comment to Eric a while ago. It's amazing during this hour and a half of the month, how many times my phone goes off or people want me or people are coming, or this is crazy. I think they know the meeting is, and they wait for it to call me.
Told you I got this thing on 911.
You're telling people to do that.
That's why I'm texting so much right now.
First, a couple minor things. The refrigerator over here in the employee break room, there's 2 of them. One of them is done. It is old. The defrost cycle doesn't work anymore. It wouldn't cool anymore, so it's gone out of there. And instead of buying a new one, there's a refrigerator in the basement of the jail that is in a break room. Sorry, the courthouse, not the jail. And it almost sits empty all the time. And I've talked to some people, and I'm going to move that one over here. So we're not gonna have to buy anything new. And it's a nice fridge, it's in good shape. So here, as soon as I can get some help, I'm going to have that moved over here. But right now, there's just one sitting over here. Let's see, Metro Power was here this month doing their semi-annual inspection and service on the generators, and the one at the jail actually got serviced. They changed the oil and do some other stuff to it. Snow removal in the month of January, there were only 2 dates the whole month that required any action at all. Thursday the 23rd and Sunday the 26th, 23rd, both of them were just shovel and some salt. 23rd, I took care of myself, and then the 26th, there was 2 of us here doing that for a few hours. Now to the good stuff. You hate to see this kind of stuff come up early in the budget year, but you have no control over it, unfortunately. Martin Luther King Day, the 20th. That was the weekend we went from 40 degrees down to like 2 degrees over the course of a day. Just felt like I needed to come in and check buildings on the paid holiday off, so I made myself a cup of coffee, come in, walk the buildings. I walk in the courthouse, it's freezing cold. It's like, okay, it's not right. I go up into the penthouse and I hear water. Long story short, I had some fresh air dampers that stuck and about an inch open, and they managed to let in enough of that cold air that it froze my cooling core for the air conditioning and broke
the copper on the U-bends on the outside of the cooling core in 24 places. And needless to say, I had Precision Piping. They came down that day. We were here 10 hours, and he was able to braze all of them and fix it in place. And it's fine and it's holding now. So fingers crossed. And it's for the air conditioning, so it's not a factor right now. But the valves are back open, it's holding water, and they tell me it's gonna be fine, that this happens all the time, and the solder holds. Use some special silver solder.
It's high temp.
Yeah. But he was here that day all day, came back the next day for a few hours, then wasn't here because he got caught on some other stuff, and then came back a final day for a few hours. And like I said, I hate to see that kind of stuff come up. I don't have an invoice for it yet. While he was here, I had him replace a gas regulator on one of the boilers on an 1.5-inch gas line that was constantly tripping my pressure switches. That's taken care of, I'm good to go now. And then we just got a call here, Otis Elevator, the issue going on with the dumbwaiter in the jail. They're on their way here now to finish that up. They had to order a special cable for it. The guys tell me that in all of their area, they cover the south suburbs, Peoria area, they cover Joliet. So this is the only brand of this type of elevator that they've ever seen. And how dumbwaiters are going by the wayside and they're, semi-obsolete now. It's unfortunate that it's there. And this is another invoice that's going to be, by the time it's said and done, it's going to be a pretty heavy duty claim. But I reiterate, I hate to see that this early in the year because you think of things you want to do and then, yes, sir.
Do you have a contract with the elevator company?
We do. Otis, they come and anything under an hour is free.
Okay, but it includes the travel too, I think.
Yeah. When they come, like I've had to call, Otis has helped me a lot with, the personnel elevator in the courthouse. And,
Because I worked at the historical site, and they would get $160 an hour for that.
no, you wouldn't believe what the special weekend rate is. I hate to even tell you, but that was the thing. It's happened on a Friday afternoon about 1 o'clock, and I called Otis, and they couldn't come right then. They could come Monday because if it was a employee elevator, they'd have been right here. They would have. But it's a dumbwaiter. It was stuck with like 25 trays of food, and they didn't want that. Sheriff didn't want that sitting all weekend in there. I mean, there's enough insect problems in that jail to begin with. It's like, yeah, get him here. Well, let's have it done over the weekend. So I met him there on Saturday. He was here a few hours, and just wait. I'll show you the claim when it's done. But
So is it a cable or just?
the cable bound up on the drum on the bottom for whatever reason. It smashed up and bound up, and it was locked, and it couldn't be moved. We couldn't even open the doors. They had to, I don't know if they drilled out the lock or what they did to open these special doors. It's 1963 technology there.
Is that one that was installed
Yeah, that jail's
when
63.
it was built or something?
Yeah. So, we'll keep you posted on that one. There were no, dare I say this, there's no issues with any heat pumps over here. It was a good month for that. That's about all. A lot of routine maintenance stuff. There's always some minor plumbing issues. I just ordered and got in a bunch of replacement cartridges for the sinks, and all of a sudden now there's a bunch of sinks that leak when they're turned off. Those came in last week, so I'll get on that this month. A couple belts on some air units, and that's about all. Worth mentioning.
Anybody got any questions? All right, thank you.
You're all gonna wanna go start working for Otis Elevator, I promise. On weekends.
All right, USD improvements, I don't have any updates at this time.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yes.
What would happen if we checked to see if we could get like a developer in here to walk the building with Chris and actually make the informed recommendations? I mean, not insulting Chris or anything, but it's,
Kind of out of your wheel well to know what all of the criteria is and everything. Would you feel comfortable if somebody walked through with you and said
I'm
yes?
completely insulted, I'm joking.
okay.
Yeah, someone that.
Actually knew what the code was.
I mean, just bring someone in that knows, what do we need to do to make this ADA compliant? And pick their brain a little bit? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
I mean, is the,
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
I assume maybe you have someone in mind.
Well, we did that at the Park District before we did our changes there. And they came in, here's what we'd like, tell us what will work and what won't work. And it was a good experience, and then it segued right into getting somebody to get the work done. So,
So, how do they then manage the project?
they did not in this case. No, they just came in and like I had a sketch drawn out as to what, and I said, I need to know what, will fly with the regulations and all that kind of stuff. And they walked through and looked at it, took a few measurements and everything, and then they sketched up a little thing, and then they said, you'll need to have an engineer that can do this. And that person did that, and then I got the specs and away it went.
Which project you talking about?
At my building at the Park District.
But here, we got the bathrooms aren't up to date,
Oh.
and there's some other parking lot issues and things like that.
But I'm thinking if the dumb waiter here goes way back to when it was built, there must be other conveyance system that would take its place. I don't know what it would be. See what I mean?
Yeah, but that wouldn't have, right now, what we need to, that's over there.
Yeah,
USDA is concerned about this building.
I understand that, but I was just getting back to what he was talking about with the dumb waiter. I mean, maybe there's nothing we can do, but if there be, I'm sure something is devised since 19.
What kind of cost was involved with that, Sherry?
With the original person that came in and looked at it for me, they didn't charge me at all. They just came in and gave me their opinions and everything, and then set me up with the next person that I needed to go to, who did charge to do the drawings and everything to scale and, the engineer and everything. But once I had those, then I was able to get my, put it out for bid for contractors and stuff like that. But, and I don't know if they would do the same thing, but I mean, it was a great experience because then I knew where I stood,
I guess my thought was, until we hear back from USDA, I wasn't inclined for us to be doing much of anything, because
Well, at the last meeting, we had asked Chris to start looking at things and do all this, and I don't know,
Well, we also got some new laws from the state of Illinois, which I think since then somebody said that you have to have a family bathroom now. So,
But see, I think a lot of those things are contingent with the size of the building and the
Well,
number of people that are in and
and-
out,
and
which
that-
they would know.
right.
I don't have a family, so maybe I can't go ahead and use it.
I guess if you still have the contact information for that person, if they come to the meeting next month, if they're available.
It must be insulted every day.
And anybody got a problem with having them come and talk to us?
if it doesn't cost us any money, I think that's fine. I'm just concerned about the financial
Right.
end of it, as far as until we know for certain what we need to do and don't need to do. There were a number of things in that USDA that we questioned whether we really need to do or not, or whether we can do.
Well, same with the family bathrooms. I'm not sure that if you don't have X amount of people through, that you actually have to have a family bathroom, but that you might need more, like just changing stations and stuff like that. So I don't want to see us put him through the ringer to try and figure out stuff that might be out of his wheelhouse if we could
And
get somebody that would
I
just.
don't know that anybody's ever done a count as to how many people come through here in a week.
Half a dozen.
And it's gonna depend on whether it's tax time or not, how many are coming through.
Well, heck, you can do it online now. Nobody will come in. Okay.
How many
well,
families are coming through?
There's a lot, especially the health department has a lot of kids coming in. And then Head Start down here, you got parents with kids. So, Okay. Any other comments on the USDA lease? Or other building improvements, I guess? Okay, speaking of Head Start lease, the little note I have, they would like to keep their monthly rent at $1,507.52 for the current year through August 31st, 2020, and are requesting a new lease become effective September 1st. The lease that was sent to them was after their budget, so they are budgeted for the old lease. So they've been paying the old lease amount. I don't remember when that lease was up.
We did it so all our leases would come to come up
We
on the
increased
same
the
day, and
same.
we could have one meeting and take care of
Right.
it.
So I guess, well,
Do we just need a motion on that? I mean, I don't see any problem. They know there's an increase. They just didn't have it budgeted.
right,
Nice
and-
of them to ask. Explain it to us.
yeah,
Add the increase on to next year's lease, or next
Well,
year's payment.
yeah, I mean, it was gonna be a prorated increase if I remember right, so, so
The
yeah,
month's missed.
so,
When is
Yeah.
ours all coming due?
that's what I don't remember. When does that lease and the others that we did, when do they come due?
They were due actually last September, so this would be their new lease for 3 years.
Okay, so was it the end of September or the 1st of September? Because they're requesting a September 1 effective date.
Okay, I believe it was the 1st of September that they were due. We actually decided on rates and sent out letters
But we were,
after that date.
yeah, we were late
Yeah.
getting it done. So if you wanna make a motion, you know, keep a note so you know how to make them. They're requesting,
To stay the same for right now and start their new lease as of September 1st,
Right.
2020.
Yeah,
Which I'll make that motion. So they'll continue with the same monthly payment until September 1st, 2020, and start the new rate.
and then if someone in the finance department could send them a letter affecting.
Yep.
Yeah. Is there a second?
Second it.
If it has to do with money, we'll do a roll call.
Barons,
Yes.
Alt,
No.
Bowers,
Yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Update, City of Watsika flooding project. I have not heard anything from them as any alternate plans or anything. I don't know where that stands at this point.
Seems to me the last time they were the next step was gonna be to get some elevations taken. And I'm not sure if they understand that that's something that they are supposed to be doing. I can talk to the mayor about it.
They were also supposed to check and see if any of their grant funding that they got would cover any of that kind of stuff too, and get back to us. And we haven't heard anything since this time.
As I said, I'm not sure that they understand that or whatever. I'll make a note.
Well, and that could be because it was two different people that came last time.
Yeah, it was employees and not the mayor or.
But we had
board
told
member.
him, and then they came and they didn't know anything about that, so they were gonna find out, come back, and then
Never say anything yet.
The one gentleman was the new guy who's gonna run the water department end of it, so. Here you go.
Okay, claims. Got claims, any questions on them? That's what we were just discussing, we have no update. Other than John's gonna check a few things.
So the emergency repair on the jail elevator that's on here?
Yeah.
That's it?
No,
What's that one?
that's the initial time they came on Saturday to get it open and get it to move and get the.
The plates off. Get the dinner dishes off.
4 hours. Do the math.
How many people?
Unless there's a family stuck on the elevator, there won't be another weekend call to notice elevator in my stint here.
Okay.
So you said family, what if it's just a prisoner and a guard?
Well, if they're in the dumbwaiter, if they're dumb enough to get in there.
Well, in a regular elevator.
Well, that's a thing I might be calling them. Well, they won't be on there on the weekend.
We'll know where to look.
Okay.
That's only during the week.
We'll know where to look for them.
I've had to get people out of the
Hope they have a cell
employee
phone.
elevator before. Had to use the drop key and open the doors and get people up and out.
Have a lunch figure ready for them when they get out.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the claims?
Maybe they earn a nice steak, you'd be out.
Safe route. I won't run the elevator.
Buying a steak is cheaper than getting the
I'll send
people in
myself
on the
up.
weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, the top.
We have a motion to pay the claims as presented.
I so move.
Second.
Okay, I'll second. Pay the claim.
All right. Take the roll.
Barron,
Yes.
Alt,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Zumwalt,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, anybody got any old business? You got new business.
Oh, okay.
I guess you can do it under old business.
On the other-
Yeah, yours is actually old business. I just wrote you down under new business, but you're actually old business, so go ahead.
It's probably old business for us, really now.
Okay, you all know that we replaced the killer over at the courthouse, and that was funded in part by some state grants, and I wanted to announce that we've now received the money for the grants. There were 2 grants actually, and the second payment was, the second grant was paid last Thursday. It's been deposited and so forth. If you put this in the minutes, I think we owe Amanda a strong vote of thanks for her work on it, on the grant program. It's been an arduous process, and she's been pretty faithful with it, and back and forth with the people in Springfield with the changes in the administration and personnel that they've had down there, and it's complicated things, but so part of it's taken care of, so. Along that line, this morning, Mr. Barons and Joe Johnson and myself had a conversation with a gentleman by the name of Ed King, who's involved with the payment or repayment of the monies on the Smart Lot project. As you know, we had authorized paying at the end of the last fiscal year money that was left over as an additional payment. Well, that check was sent back and claimed that those kind of payments cannot be made, so we had a long conversation with the gentleman this morning before this meeting, and he's gonna continue to try and work and see if that can be changed, but I guess because of the way the contract or thing was structured, that even though Ori Cummings specifically told us that we could make payments, we couldn't or can't. What we can do is, the contract provides that in 2026, we can buy it out, and that may be an option that we wanna do. But this Mr. King is gonna continue to pursue the matter and see if we can't get a waiver that will let us make these advanced payments, so.
But right now, all that stuff is on hold because the company that did the funding is in the middle of a merger.
Of course.
So they said he thinks 90 to 120 days that'll be done, and then they'll reapproach him.
He needs to get some kind of a waiver, I guess is what he's talking about. So we got it
It's
on the docket that, you know, in 90 days we'll be back in touch with him, or he'll be back in touch with us, so. If we don't hear from him, you can rest assured that he'll hear from us.
Because I thought it said in the contract that, because it said pay off early, didn't it?
You know, we looked,
Well, see,
Or is that just the
there,
verbal part?
Say you
there were
can and it doesn't
several
say you can't.
different,
Oh,
there were several different options that were explored, and some of them apparently had that option, but then the lease option did not.
oh,
It has the early buyout option. So what our thinking is that we send a recommendation to the finance committee to take that money, put it into a special fund
Restricted
for
fund.
that.
Mhm.
And that way, if we can't make it, then the money is there in
pile it up.
2026 to, when we buy it, when we have the opportunity to buy it out.
Are you giving me old business or am I?
You were taking too long.
Oh,
Is that something, if we did that restricted fund, is that something that Kurt could invest,
it'd
As
be like
well
an escrow account.
so we could get a little extra money off that too? That wouldn't be all bad.
Well, won't amount to much, but.
Well, every
So-
little penny counts.
That's right, I agree, no, that's, if we put it in an escrow account and it's 90 days, he gets a waiver, we can immediately take it out of that account and send it in. If not, we
We'll
can
just keep
continue
adding
to
to
put money in every year as it's available into that account. And then when we get to 2026, it'll be there to buy out the rest of it. According to what Joe figured out this morning, if we buy the thing out there, it might save us somewhere around $74,000 in interest.
That'd be awesome.
So obviously, these prepayments will be, the savings should be greater, but we still have that other option available to us. So. The other thing about all that is that we also have what's called a guaranteed savings agreement or insurance type policy. And along that line, I'm challenging the committee to, on a monthly basis, to monitor the R&E reports and other data to make sure that we're achieving the savings that we're supposed to be getting, which is primarily characterized in the usage. Are we using less energy? And is it following the pathway that we're supposed to be following? And we need to translate that, I think, also into dollars and cents so that we also have a clear understanding of that. But I think doing this on a monthly basis is gonna be something that will allow us to stay on top of this whole thing. And even if we didn't have this issue about paying ahead of time, I think this is something that I think that needs to be done.
Wasn't SmartWatt supposed to come in and do periodic audits of all of that stuff too?
Now, that
just
might be,
to-
but I'd like us to do
Right,
our own.
but weren't they supposed, that's,
I thought so as well, and I'm sitting here thinking as he's talking about that, I'm kind of, it's unclear to me exactly how that's supposed to be monitored. Is that something we do or something they were supposed to do?
well, see, that's why I thought they were supposed to come in and do an audit, and they were supposed to go through all the bills, and they were supposed to, you know, compare
Not monthly, but periodically.
periodically, yeah, not monthly, but monthly we could work on that, but
Uh-huh.
it'd be nice to see what their thoughts are, since they're the training
See if their
provider.
figures follow ours.
Exactly.
They may do it yearly,
If
since
you would
it's
like, I can,
guaranteed yearly savings.
if you'd like, I can text or call Ori and pick his brain a little bit and find out exactly how that's supposed to be achieved.
I think that-
That's fine, but I guess I would believe our figures rather than someone else's.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I think we should be doing this.
Yeah.
Right, but if our figures don't match what their figures are, they're supposed to reimburse, right?
Right, yeah, they write
So-
a check.
So we need to make sure that we're all working together.
He says if I ever need anything, give him a call.
There you go.
So,
We need something,
I do.
there you go.
Give me a call this afternoon.
Last thing I have under new business isn't something specific to this committee, but it's important to the county, and that on February 13th, we're having a town hall meeting at the Trinity Church about floods. The Christopher Burke engineering study, the same one that we saw here in December, is gonna be presented there, and there's also gonna be a question and answer session regarding the Iroquois County River Conservancy District issue that will be on the ballot on February 14th. So I think all of you were sent a copy of a flyer that was prepared for that. If any of you don't have it or need more copies, you can see me after the meeting, and I'll be happy to, or if you have any questions about it, I'd be happy to talk with you. But I encourage everybody to promote this thing to the nth degree and get as many people as we can to come to that meeting. Was it Tuesday night, John, when I was in Iroquois?
Yeah,
for the
no,
township
Wednesday,
meeting?
Wednesday.
Wednesday, okay. Tuesday night, I was at the Watsika City Council meeting, and tonight Eric and I are going over to Crescent City for their meeting. So we're trying to hit all the meetings we can of the city councils and townships between now and then, but it's something, and I've also talked to the radio station people and the newspaper and so forth. So in fact, there's a article on the front page of the paper about it, so the more we can publicize this and get people aware of what it is and so forth, I think the better our chances of success, so that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Are you finished?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Any other old business? New business. I have a note here. John Zumwalt questioned parking lots last month per the attached sheet. We are not scheduled to do anything with parking lots until 2021. So that is an answer to your question from last month. Yes, I know. I have him right here.
Oh.
Finally, on the new business, Mr. Stacy.
Thank you. I wanted to make the community aware, I have a project I'd like to work on, of installing some radios in my EOC, the Emergency Operations Center in the basement of the courthouse. But I want to put the antennas for said radios on the roof of the courthouse, as opposed to the tower. We've tried running them to the tower. There's no more extra lines from the radio room in the basement of the courthouse up to the tower, and then also I'd have too much signal loss over that greater distance. The longer you run a radio cable, the more signal loss you have. And with the types of radios I'm looking to install, UHF and Starcom, the signal loss would be too great and it wouldn't be effective. The length of cable directly from my office to the roof of the courthouse would be less. So I think my signal loss would be negligible. It's in my budget, but I wanted to run it by you guys. The sheriff kind of has final say over whether or not I can do this, and we haven't had a chance to discuss it yet, so I still gotta wait for that, but I wanted to run it by you guys, see what you thought. Have any reservations?
How would it be mounted up there? Is it bolted to the roof or to a wall? Or?
That's a good question. When it comes to actually mounting, I would rely on a contractor whom I haven't picked or discussed with yet. I was waiting for approval first. With that being said, I know we just had a very expensive roof put on there, and I'm hesitant to put anything through that rubber. So I'll do my best to mount it to the side of the building if possible at all. Whatever we can do, but I just need to make sure that the antennas would be very secure to survive any sort of winds, moderate windstorms, I'd say. But like I said, I don't want to put it on a bowl, not rubber.
Well, it's been a while since I was up there, but that roof isn't flat. There's another part that extends above, right?
There is.
So
if we looked at that, maybe we should run it up there and we determined, probably don't need to. Just to save on radio cable length, because that radio cable is rather expensive. If we just get to the edge of the building there, that'll probably be just fine.
okay. Anybody got any questions for him?
Okay, thank you.
You act like you want to ask him a question, but
So is this another new additional project? Because the mitigation plan still isn't done yet, so that still kind of just speaks to me every time I come.
That's fine. With EMA, due to the amount of work that needs to happen, I'm not able to focus on one thing at a time. But mitigation plan is still a very high priority in my office. We've been working on it for a long time. And I reported to the Policy and Procedure Committee meeting last week that there's two things that need to be done to the plan at this point. Mitigation strategies, which is what I'm hoping to get from my last public meeting. And I went to a class in December that IEMA and FEMA finally taught, wasn't available before, about how to write a mitigation plan. I learned a few things from that class, and that's helped me to put a few more things into the plan to fix a couple problems. But I've already been through it all. I've put a draft together for myself and got just a couple more things to do on.
So when we had that target date in August then, that was never gonna happen if you hadn't been to that training already.
Oh, no, I was still trying. I didn't even know that at that point that training wasn't even available. I know that training did not exist.
So what's our drop dead date this time then?
I'm hoping to have a meeting here this month, a public meeting this month.
Yeah, but I mean, when do you think you'll have it done, the mitigation plan?
That is a different question because after I have public meetings and have a finalized draft approved, then it has to go to the state for approval. And I think the rule is 30 to 90 days to get back to me. And then it has to go to the federal government for approval after that, and they have roughly the same timeline.
I'm just talking about your end of it,
My end of it, I want to have a finalized draft by the end of the month.
this month.
Yep.
Good deal.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'm second it.
All in favor? All opposed? We are adjourned.
What? Some guys are real choosy, aren't they? Plan to see